This episode is brought to you by Auto Hauler Exchange.
Content is the variable to building a brand, to getting people to know, like, and trust you before they even come into the dealership.
Hey gang, welcome to this episode of the Dealer Playbook podcast. Sitting down with my pal Nathanael Greklek. He is the corporate brand director at Mohawk Auto Group. You like how I turned away? We're going to be talking about what it takes to make a reality TV show at your dealership. Stay tuned. Nathanael, what's up, my man? Thanks for joining me on the Dealer Playbook.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
I just have to tell you this. Usually people come on the show, right? It's like, you know, you're a podcaster and people are like, oh man, I can't believe, that sort of thing. Yeah. This is me doing this to you just to kick things off. I just got back from speaking in Europe and it was all about marketing stuff and whatever. And I'm like, guys, watch this. And I threw up I made this whole group of people watch the first episode of y'all's Mock-U series. And wow. Half the room was like, what's with the ducks? And I was like, that's the whole point. So kudos to you guys. I mean, that's super creative. And also, how did you, I just have to kick it off with this because we're going to get into all the weeds. How did you make sure that you were capturing authentically non-actors doing a really good job acting?
Yeah, so Grace does a phenomenal job. She does majority of the writing and producing, comes up with the ideas, her and Ben, and they like whip it up in the background. Fortunately, I get to be a part of the BTS, help them set up, things like that. But essentially, we've been doing content for so long at this point that people are just used to like making things at the dealership, and not to be confused with the dealership, the mockumentary, but like the actual Mohawk Chevrolet, Mohawk Honda, Rap Kings, and Mohawk Collision Center. Like, we're just there all the time making content for social media. So when we ask people to be on video, we're like, just, hey, be yourself. Yeah, we have to kind of help them with, a little bit things in here, like retakes and things like that. But we just have a good sense of the individuals that play really good parts for that. So it's pretty easy.
Bring me inside the organization a little bit, because sure. I know there is a pandemic still happening inside of our industry. It's not the pandemic of positivity. Sorry to those that are a part of that group. It's the other pandemic, which is usually people in your position in a dealership or in a dealer group have to spin so many flipping plates. Mm-hmm. That and more plates get piled on, like marketing people inside of dealerships should be on America's Got Talent for plate spinning abilities.
Yes.
From your vantage point, what does it look like to manage all of that and then also say, hey, we should also take on this other form of content that undoubtedly takes planning and maybe storyboarding and scouting and editing and all of the things? Like, how do you manage that, speaking specifically to the marketing or brand coordinators in our industry who are like, I don't even know which way is up right now?
So the first thing, and it is, you have to team. Like, the team is the team. This is the team, right? Like, you have to have a go-to person that you can always count on to make content with you. You also need to set time aside to actually think about some of the content you want to make. ChatGPT is a humongous player tool to help you be a little more efficient with script writing and things like that, because you have it in your mind, right? But when you throw that in the chat, it throws in like a script and you're like, oh, okay, tweak this. Good to go. Let's get it done, right? So that's honestly been a huge tool in my arsenal since it came out, since I learned about it, that I got on the wait list for and all that fun stuff, just testing it out, doing all that fun stuff. A lot of tools actually to help be more efficient and to have a team, I think. But at the end of the day, it comes down to management and ownership that are on board with making content and having content as a priority for marketing and social media. That's like hands down if they're not focused on that, if they're not going to give you a green light and support, it's going to be very, very difficult. So for instance, the first thing that when someone asks me, I'm just starting at a dealership, I'm making content for them, but I don't know, they're asking for more, they're asking for different things like this. The first thing I always ask them is, are they doing delivery photos? Right? Delivery photos are the most engaging post, and besides, the one-offs like the dealership and the viral videos we get, but hands down, day in and day out, we are posting our deliveries every single day. So I have a chat group with all of the salespeople in there, and it's not 100%. And I've been doing it for 6+ years at this point,
right,
trying to get all of the delivery photos every single time. But with the support of the sales managers, of the general sales manager, and ownership that is on board with creating this experience on social media, I can go to them and say, hey, I'm not getting the delivery pictures that we need. I think we should be having more, and really having them in my corner then goes to the salespeople to help get those delivery photos for you. So it's okay, I have a script for something. Who's going to be the best persona for that video? Who's willing to do it? Okay, now I'm going to go to that. Because, granted, yes, I can make all of the content. Like, I could be in it all myself.
Yeah.
That is not going to benefit my customer, right?
Right.
I'm not on, they're not going to see me every day. They might know who Nate is, but they would rather see Louis Morales, VIP man, or Alex Nichols, or Brianna McKenna that's at the front desk. Like, they should know exactly who they're going to be talking to and the experience they should have. So you have to have management, which helps you get into the sales team, which helps you get into the service team. And I also didn't mention, but you have a service manager. Fortunately for me, the service manager was previously a master technician in the shop. And he was actually a huge part of me being able to make service content. He was always willing to do it. So naturally, when he came into the manager spot, helping me get individuals that might be willing to, and some people have moved over from sales to service that were doing videos. So it's a huge environment of just being used to making content, and it's only happened over years. It's not going to happen overnight because people are scared. I think one of the biggest objections is from salespeople is like, I don't want to be on video camera. I can talk to someone in front of me, but if it's a video camera, I just freeze up. Well, there's a few ways that I have done throughout the years to kind of break through that objection, is really being in the videos with them, putting people together in groups to make videos. The more that you can get them in small little things like photos, and then especially if you can get like a testimonial, you want to give them something that's like a softball pitch. That's like not fast pitch, but
you're
lob that thing up.
You're not doing what human nature wants to do. Like you're not being impatient with it. You're giving them smaller bite-sized tasks. You didn't just one day, because I know people listening or people that have seen the dealership series that you guys have put together maybe aren't seeing the years of, strategic small steps that have led up to it. And so then they're feeling inadequate, like, oh man, we need to do that, because if we don't do that, then we're not relevant. It's like, no, you literally just said, as I'm listening to this, you literally said, I start with getting them in a picture, like putting a lens in front of them and getting them comfortable doing that first. Right.
Definitely. And then just being open to an opportunity. And that's kind of where the first episode came from. Like, I was actually at the Honda store, and I came up, and Grace talked to me, and they were like, hey, this employee came to us, and we're doing these ducks as like a prank of like, we're going to duck people. I was like, sick. And we were wondering how we could do this more. So like kind of take it to the next level. And we've always wanted to do an office style. So Grace, Ben, and I were like, we should start to interview people, and we're like, who can we put in this and who would be great? And so we kind of like went around to all the different people and was like, say something about the Ducks. Like, what do you think about this? And, the first episode has the owner in it, Jeff Harridan. And he's like, I don't know is this what we do now in the automotive business? We put around ducks, right? Like, that's an owner. Like that. He's an owner of theirs. So it's just like, it just goes to show you the culture of the dealership as a whole, like willing to be in them. But it's only because we set that tone a long time ago that content is the variable to building a brand, to getting people to know, like, and trust you before they even come into the dealership.
Hey, before we continue with this episode, I want to take a minute to thank this episode's sponsor, Auto Hauler Exchange. Brokers are overcharging and taking forever to ship vehicles. That's a fact. Auto Hauler Exchange is the solution. They eliminate brokers from vehicle logistics by connecting shippers and carriers directly through their online marketplace. Pretty cool. With over 5,000 highly vetted carriers on the exchange, dealers can turn vehicles quicker and open up entirely new markets for buying and selling vehicles. Sounds like a godsend. On average, it takes 5 days from a time a dealer lists a vehicle on the exchange to when it arrives at its destination. I mean, speed to market, people. Speed to market. So let me ask you, how long are your vehicles taking to ship? And if you don't know, that's probably another reason for you to try Auto Hauler Exchange. You get analytics, you get reporting, and it's all going to help you better understand your shipping costs and timelines. Talk about transparency. And guess what? It's completely free to list your vehicles. The exchange takes a transparent 10% fee for shipping with no hidden fees. The price you pay, minus the 10% fee, is the amount that Auto Hauler Exchange is paying to the carrier. Get your vehicles moving faster today and talk with someone from the Auto Hauler Exchange team to get set up with a shipper account. Visit autohaulerexchange.com to get more information. All right, let's pop back to this episode. So I want to dig into this a little bit. How much convincing how long, first of all, how long have you been at Mohawk now?
I think it's going on 8. I'm pretty sure I've been here 7.
And when you came into it, how did you come into it? Were you a marketing guy? Were you like, what was your entry into the business?
I don't have any experience. Like, I don't have a marketing degree. I actually joined Mohawk because they're such a big community sponsor that I was working for a for-profit giving company. So for every time you bought something from them, they would give something to the community. So Mohawk partnered with them. A vehicle of warmth is what they called it. They were the sponsor of warmth. So we did a few drop-offs with them, with some blankets, with some hats to a local hospital and different things like that. And this was a startup. So, I was married. My wife's like, we got to be making something, like, let's figure this out. I was also doing like a few other jobs at the time. And the salesperson who was the ambassador, John Higgins, who's actually a service advisor now, was like, hey, Mohawk is hiring. Why don't you apply for a job? Like, you seem like a techie guy. We had made 2 videos for them. We made a almost like a why buy for them using my GoPro. And then we also did the mannequin challenge, if you ever remember that.
The mannequin challenge?
Yeah. So the mannequin challenge was a huge trend 7 years ago or so, 7 or 8 years ago at this point. And you would basically shoot a video and everyone would be frozen, and then you would move around.
Oh, yeah.
Now you remember.
Yeah.
The Black Beatles song is what everybody would know it as.
Mm-hmm.
But that was called the Mannequin Challenge. So we actually made some content with them for that. And so he was like, hey, we're hiring. You seem like a techie guy. And I was like, yeah, sure. And, the pay was decent enough to where I could move over. And I started as a delivery specialist. So when someone buys a vehicle from our dealership, we show them how to use the bells and whistles and make sure they know how to use their spaceship, right? Because there's so much technology in vehicles. So I was doing that. I saw an opportunity. They were doing stuff on social media. They were doing the delivery photos, which like they were, I would say, probably the pioneers of like this delivery photo thing. Cause they would literally, so I kid you not, the store was close, was selling close to probably, well, we're doing it now, but 500 to 600 cars. Right.
Wow.
And they were posting every delivery photo as a separate post, like 20 times a day.
Wow.
Post. So like, and that's not even all the deliveries for the day, right? That wasn't even getting all the delivery photos, but they were posting them every single time with a specific, because their mind was specific post to the specific customer and putting in by name and what they bought, right? Which probably now would make sense because it's such a different algorithm at this point that the person won't see it anymore. But back then, quote unquote, back then on Facebook land, all of your followers saw every single post. And they're starting to see a trend in a decline. So I kind of like had an idea and I was making a few things and I was dabbling in making some content in terms of like, I had Final Cut Pro and they had motion through Apple. So I made like some logo spins and I was just like in my free time between deliveries. Sure. That's what I was making some stuff like that and giving to them. And so I saw that there was like a need because I knew there was something more that could be done on the social media platforms. I'm a huge Gary Vee fan, so I've been following him since 2014. And
when you were 13. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, continue. Yeah.
Also Casey Neistat and Parker Wallback and oh my gosh, Peter McKinnon. When they first were starting out, like I followed all of them. I was like, man, would be sick if we could do like blogs every day at the dealership and kind of like get all that stuff. And I could like my mind just started rolling with like, what would you do?
What would your entry be, right? Because McKinnon's like, what? You just the whole what's up, right? Did you practice anything like that?
No, I didn't. I didn't even know. Like I was so like infatuated with the fact that someone could blog or vlog every single day for 365 days plus for Casey Neistat. And then Peter McKinnon had like Tech Tuesday or 2 Minute Tuesdays. And I was like, okay, I can like use all these alliterations that he has. And, you know, I didn't really think about my intro as like the vlog, but like,
how many cameras did you look at though? Like how many DSLRs did you look at that you were like, this thing's got to do 240 frames a second? You're like, I need creamy slow-mo video, like B-roll.
I don't like his stuff wasn't like that slow when he first started, I feel.
That's true. His slow-mo got slow, even Mo slow.
Mo slow. Got Mo slow as time progressed. But
so what's interesting though is like it sounds like you had almost like a creative path or a creative license coming into the business. Like the owners already knew, like they were already accustomed to like community outreach, like you were saying. And so do you feel like there was a lot of convincing that you had to do in order to try your ideas? Like, was that the ecosystem? It's like, hey, I really want to try this. And you had to pitch them on everything or.
Yeah. So I was actually meeting with Andy Gelcher, who was like, he was mentoring me. I would meet up with him and I was like, hey, I really think that because there was no job position for like content creator or whatnot, whatever it is. And I was like, I think that this could be like an actual position where we're diving deep into just making content every single day. And after talking, he's like, dude, just come up with your sheet. What are you going to do every day? Give the details and pitch it to the general manager. So I did that at the time and he was like, yeah, let's get on board. And then I was talking to Jeff Harridan one day in his office and I noticed this box in his office and I'll never forget, like there's this box over to the right, the bottom right. And I'm like, what's that box like going on? I like saw like Canon or something over there. And he was like, oh yeah. A while back we like wanted to make our own commercials and like really just wanted to, I was like, can I have that? Like I had been doing it for a little bit, and I was using an iPhone 7, and he was like, yeah, you can have it. So I'll never forget, like a Canon X810 was like my first
Wow.
real camera that I had. And then that got stolen out of my car. So I got a Canon Rebel SL2.
Oh, dang.
Which I still have just for nostalgia purposes. But they've always been interested. I think it started with their interest in like, there's a possibility that this could be something. They didn't know when, they didn't know what. And I feel like that's a huge thing for Mohawk, is that they're always like, there's something more that we might be missing. We're going to dabble in it and see where it goes. And when the opportunity arises, we hop on that and we see what we can do to make it work and bring our business forward.
Yeah, this is smart, because I mean, you think, and I'm looking something up here that you made me think of, how forward thinking they were. And I mean, it's 2024 at time of recording this. We're headed into a new year. There's a fresh breath of whatever you want to call it happening, stirring around us in America right now. People feel different energy, all these sorts of things. And where I'm going with that is, now is not the time to keep doing what you've always done.
Right.
You have to be forward thinking. You have to say, what's next? What should I be looking at as far as hiring in my store? How can we really reach deeper into the community? All the things that I've heard you say. And what you made me think of is this article that was shared with me, titled "The Relentless Inevitable March of the Creator Economy." And I mean, the essence of the article really is, that now is the time for the creator. Like creation has never been so accessible.
Yeah.
And marrying that to my thought process about being forward thinking, for those listening who are saying, what should my next hire be? We know traditionally it's always like, we need more salespeople. It's like, pause. A body is not better than nobody. You need the right somebody. And if you're sitting here thinking like, how do I reach deeper into my market or my community, or create affinity programs with different groups that are in my community, you need a creator. Like that's, your title is brand court, whatever it was like a novel long, your title, right?
Yeah. My first title was Chief Digital Branding Leader, because I never wanted to be a manager. I wanted to be a leader.
They're like, how do we give him a title that's just as long as a diesel truck? It's like, it can't just be a Ram truck. It's like the Ram 1500 SLT diesel pro carbon
extended cab, extended bed.
But that's you. Like every time I've met you in person, there's a camera hanging around your neck, or a Go mic, or like something hanging off of you to capture. And I think there are so many things happening inside of dealerships, so many good things happening inside of dealerships that never get captured. And then we wonder why general population is so concerned about like this negative stigma that looms over us like a dark cloud, that those of us that work in the industry know that the good far outnumber the people who do crappy, shady things, but it's not getting captured because there's no creator. And so my question is this: dealerships that are like, yeah, I get it, Cirillo, but I don't even know where to start to look for this type of individual. You being that individual, where do they find you?
So it's funny because I'm actually I'm looking for a new person to take over the Mohawk Honda team lead, and we put a position up. And I kid you not, we've had about 50 applications. 50 applications for content creator, marketing specialist, however they worded it. And a lot of these individuals that are marketing specialists now are making content on their own, so they have a good idea. You obviously want to make sure they have some type of editing skills.
Right.
You want to make sure that you want to see what their favorite platform is. I always ask all my interviewees, and I always ask them who's their favorite content creator, who they watch the most. Because that's going to give you an idea of what type of content they're going to want to make. See what kind of shows they're watching, like different things like that, to see if it's going to align with how you're looking.
Like if they already have a sense of the creative style you want.
Right. And that's not to say that, like, if they're watching Casey Neistat, I honestly don't even know, and they're watching Mr. Beast, right? And you want a Peter McKinnon style, right? Like, there's ways to adapt everything.
Sure.
And their style that they have can be put into a way, and they're going to attract whoever they attract based on your input, right? That's why as the management staff, whether you're a general manager, whether you're a general sales manager, assistant general manager, when you're in that upper level management, thinking about who the actual target is, this is the marketing professional that has to come out, because you have to know, what do I sell more of, the most of, who is actually coming in, and who do we see that, and who do we want to capture, right? Because every brand, Honda attracts a different customer than Chevrolet does, right? So, and same with, Toyota and all of them. And knowing what the OEM brand is actually going after, knowing who's in your local community, and then having somebody that understands how to make content and take all of that in is a process. And it doesn't happen overnight, because even though I was making content, a lot of it was just like walk-arounds and
Sure.
things like that, until I figured out what fun content we can make and how can we relate it back to the store, and showcasing the people and the product and their passions all in one. And that comes with working with them over a couple months.
Let me ask you this as we kind of round out where we're headed here. I think a lot of dealers love the idea of having a Nathanael in their store, right? Somebody that can see it creatively, who sees what's going on in store, can capture it, can be creative. There's going to be others that say, well, hold on a minute. How do I quantify this? Right. Especially because, our industry is addicted to leads. They're, the walking lead zombies,
Walking leads.
Yeah. The walking leads.
Yeah.
And I know it's not a straight line. I mean, as a marketer, talking to a marketer, it's like, well, it's not a straight line. You came into an ecosystem with owners who understood the value of community outreach from the hop. For those that are wondering about this, well, how does this though get quantified inside of Mohawk? What are the things you guys are looking at or considering?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing I always like to tell people, and I don't have a pair of them on, but usually I'll take my Nikes off and be like, hey, what's this look like? What is this? And like, well, it's Nike. I'm like, exactly. If the people don't know the brand so much that all you have to do is show the logo and they're like, oh yeah, and they have a feeling instantaneous about it. Now, Nike has a whole bunch of different feelings that are attached to it. Love them or hate them. They have a specific brand mentality that when you see it, you're like, action, take action.
Right.
Why? Because they're associated with athletes and different things like that. When someone hears your name, when someone hears Mohawk, right? That brand is what is going to resonate whether or not they want to buy. And it's going to come from the local community. So who your immediate impact, right? What you're doing in the community. How are you helping those in the community? And the ROI is never going to be one-to-one. It's just not going to happen, right? But what can you look at through a social media lens? Well, you can see reach. You can see how many people are commenting, sharing, video views. Like those are the major KPIs that are showing engagement, because marketing at the end of the day, I can bring you in all the leads that you want. I can get all that, but the process that are in play and the people, like I don't sell the car.
Right.
The marketing's job is not to sell the car. The marketing is to get the brand so big that when someone's thinking about buying a vehicle, right? Because that's essentially what a marketing ad is that when I see this ad, I want to do business with Mohawk. Well, when someone
you're the only option.
Right. And with a Mohawk brand, our marketing dollars are more effective and efficient because we have such a strong brand. And that's where social media comes in. So if you think about, you spend, I mean, sometimes people are spending up to $11,000 a billboard. You could get at least 2 content creators for your store for that much.
Right.
And you could have lots of multiple different pieces of content that are ads that are digital ads, but they're content that's related and relatable.
Yeah.
Videos that are commercials that are relatable.
Opportunity cost,
as well as the thing that people don't understand is that a content creator is not just for social media. Our team handles all of our commercials. So if you're still on traditional media, we are making the commercials. And if you were to pay somebody, and I did some math, like at least the minimum that you would spend on a commercial is $1,500. So, okay, $1,500 minimum. That is like run and gun. That's kind of like some of the things that we do.
Yeah, quick and dirty.
But you could hire a part-time content creator for that, for less to come into your store. But, somewhere up to, I think now it's probably like $5,000, right? If you're going to have a whole production team come in, blah, 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 blah. And if you're switching this out every month, that's only your traditional media. But we're also making flyers and brochures for all the community groups that we're helping out. We're doing all of the graphics. Like I tell everyone, we do about 98% of the marketing in terms of content creation. There's the 2% that's the extreme targeted inventory ads that are straight from there. We don't do that, but anything that you see that is on TV that is shown throughout the community is made in-house. And another thing that I like to point out is that because you have a content creator there that understands the management's wants, needs, and desires, your vendors can also have a better relationship in creating the valuable content so that your marketing, again, is more effective in merging with the management's wants and needs as well.
Yeah, it makes total sense. It's operational efficiency and opportunity cost versus what we see a lot of in our industry, which is absolutely flushing gazillions of dollars down the toilet and wondering why, being left scratching our heads, wondering why we didn't get more opportunities as a result. Makes perfect sense to me. I got one last question before we wind down. I mean, you guys did this Mock-U series, The Dealership, to the degree that then, before you know it, Mary Barra is in one of your episodes. What was it like sharing some time with her?
Honestly, like down to earth. I mean, she was super happy. I really have to give kudos to General Motors for really hopping on this trend of like seeing how this is blowing up through all of the media presses and things like that. And then being interested in being on our own video, right? Like, I don't think I've ever seen an OEM do that.
Was there any legal, like, did you have to sit there and sign things and all these sorts of things with her?
No, we didn't have to sign a lot. We had to, obviously we created the show and then we sent it to legal to make sure everything was good. But yeah, so it was a good time just getting to meet her. Getting a photo was really nice. Like, and to see, I think people don't give her enough credit where like the desk that we shoot at was actually her desk. And a fun fact for everyone is that nameplate was not there. Like she doesn't have a nameplate. Like she's just in an open office around everybody, like being with the people. So shout out to her for that, you know, and I think that's a good testament of, I really see like GM, like really trying to make strides to get into this content creation game and really be a part of what is going on in the social media landscape. So it was so much fun. We got to go off-roading in on their test track, which is pretty epic, which you saw a little bit of in that show. But yeah, it was a good time.
I love it, man. Listen, for those of you that are watching or listening and you're feeling inspired, this is what it's all about. Like this is the other side of working in a dealership that we don't talk enough about, but it is an emerging thing to have creators working at the dealership for, you know, the market penetration, for community outreach, for, you know, like you were talking about, just how to connect all of the dots, not dilute the marketing dollars, actually have them travel further. How can those listening and watching get in touch with you and connect?
So if you are, number one, if you are a content creator in the automotive space, you're making content for dealerships, we do have a specific group for you called the Automotive Creative Collective on Facebook. Join that. We're sharing the content that we're making. We're talking about it. And I really would love to build that up to be a resource for you. Obviously, I'm on all social media platforms, Nathanael Greklek. Feel free to reach out to me, hit me up on the DMs, and willing to help any way I can.
Well, man, Nathanael Greklek, thanks so much for joining me on the Dealer Playbook Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Dealer Playbook Podcast. If you enjoyed tuning in, please subscribe, share, and hit that like button. You can also join us and the DPB community on social media. Check back next week for a new Dealer Playbook episode. Thanks so much for joining.